My name is Jessica Lane. I'm 35 years old, a working mother, and nothing in life could have prepared me for the moment I stepped into my sister-in-law's house and discovered my daughter sitting alone in the dark, clutching a half-eaten sandwich and trying not to cry. It had begun like any other week, frantic but manageable. I had recently accepted a significant consulting assignment that needed 3 days on site with a client in another state. My husband, Tyler, generally handled things at home when I was away, but this time he had his own work emergency. His company was launching a new software system, and he needed to be present to oversee it. We tried every option. Our nanny experienced a family emergency, my parents went on a cruise, Tyler's parents were on a trip abroad. That left just one option: his sister, Melissa. Melissa had always been a bit of a wild card. She enjoyed sharing Instagram-worthy images of her children and her immaculate home. Yet she possessed a unique perspective, particularly when it came to my daughter, Chloe. Chloe is 8 years old. She's bright, quirky, and slightly hesitant with adults. She is also not Tyler's biological daughter. I had Chloe when I was 27, following a brief but difficult marriage that ended before she was born. Tyler joined our family when Chloe was 2 years old, and he has been her father in every manner since. Melissa, on the other hand, never really embraced Chloe as part of her real family. At first, it was subtle, calling her Jess's little girl instead of my niece, giving gifts for her children, and forgetting about Chloe on holidays. I'd expressed concerns to Tyler throughout the years, but he always dismissed them. "That's just how Melissa is," he'd remark. "She doesn't mean anything by it." When he proposed that Melissa watch Chloe for 3 days, I hesitated. I knew Chloe would feel out of place in that home. She had 3 children of her own, all of whom were boisterous, competitive, and quite close. But we were out of options, and Tyler promised to check in frequently. "She'll be fine," he replied. "It's just 3 days." It was not. I flew out on Sunday night. Monday went pleasantly enough. I called Chloe that evening, and she told me they had spaghetti for dinner and watched a movie. She sounded worn out, but okay. Melissa texted me on Tuesday, stating Chloe was having a hard time adjusting, and she had taken some privileges away to encourage improved conduct. I called Chloe immediately. She sounded calm and reserved. "Are you okay, baby?" I asked. "I'm fine," she whispered. "Just tired." Something about her voice made my stomach turn. My client delayed our final presentation on Wednesday morning, giving me the opportunity to leave early. I did not tell anyone. I thought I would surprise Chloe, consider taking her out for ice cream. I wanted to be the mom who arrives home early simply for the joy of surprising my daughter. But when I came through that front door, there was no ice cream or squeals of surprise. It was silent. It was a strange, deep calm in a house that was normally alive with noise. I called out. No response. Then I heard it, the creak of a chair in the kitchen. I came in and found Chloe sitting alone at the table. There was a sandwich on a paper towel in front of her, only half eaten. Tears streaked her cheeks and her eyes widened as she saw me. "Mom," she said, as if she didn't believe I was genuine. I went at her side. "Where is Melissa? Where are the boys?" "They went to the water park," she explained. Her voice was so tiny that I could barely hear it. "They said I couldn't come because I was being disrespectful." Her words caught my breath. Disrespectful how? I didn't want to play the game her son created. He pushed me and I told him to stop. Chloe looked down. "They sent me to my room." "And how long have you been here alone?" "I don't know. Maybe since after lunch?" I examined the clock. It was about 5 p.m. They had left her alone for hours. I tried to remain calm, but inside I was shaking. Chloe was just 8. She could have choked, fallen, What if someone came to the door? Did they leave you any instructions? I asked. She nodded. They told me that if I grew hungry, I could eat a sandwich, but not touch anything else, and no television because I did not earn screen time. I held her tight. She was my gorgeous and fearless little child. Someone had made her feel like a burden. She felt like she was an outsider. Again. As I helped her put on her jacket, I made a quiet promise. Never again. We headed straight to our favorite diner. I got her the largest stack of pancakes on the menu, even though it was dinner time. She spoke briefly, her voice becoming stronger as the syrup sank in. I texted Tyler. I got home early. Melissa left Chloe alone. We need to talk, urgent. Tyler called within 5 minutes of receiving my message. I was seated across from Chloe in the booth, trying not to show her my handshake as I lifted my coffee. Her pancake plate was nearly empty, and syrup was splattered on her cheek like battle paint. Her smile was returning, slowly, gently, the type of smile that grows after a storm, unsure of the peace. Jess? Tyler's voice over the phone sounded harsh and eager. What do you mean she was left alone? I meant exactly that, I responded quietly. I arrived home early, unannounced. Melissa and the kids had gone, leaving Chloe alone in the kitchen. She had no idea when they would come back. Tyler exhaled forcefully. Jesus. I'll call Melissa right now. No, I replied. Don't. Not yet. There was quiet. She informed Chloe she couldn't go with them because she was being disrespectful, and she didn't deserve screen time. She was left with a sandwich and a paper towel, as if she were a stray dog. Another pause. I don't even know what to say, Tyler murmured. Say we made a mistake. Say we let her down. I'll fix this, he murmured after a time, his voice low. I'll talk to Melissa tonight. I looked at Chloe. She hummed gently to herself as she wiped syrup off the table with a flower-shaped napkin. No, I replied again. We'll discuss it with her. Together. And in person. That night, at home, Chloe nestled up close to me on the couch, as if she was terrified I would disappear again. I let her sleep there, covered in a blanket, with her favorite stuffed lion nestled behind her arm. Tyler arrived home shortly after 9. The look on his face said it all. Shame, wrath, and tiredness. He leaned down to kiss Chloe's head. She's okay, I murmured gently, but she's confused. And it hurt. Tyler sat near me and rubbed his face with both hands. I should have known better, he explained. I didn't want to believe Melissa would treat her like that. I always wondered if it was all in our heads. There is bias. The comments. It wasn't, and now she knows it too. We sat silently for a while. Finally, I remarked, we should go over there tomorrow. We need to be quite clear. Tyler nodded. Agreed, but we also need a plan. Melissa does not believe she has done anything wrong. Then she's about to get a reality check. The following day, we headed to Melissa's residence. We didn't want Chloe to witness this, so she stayed with a friend. Melissa answered the door with a bright smile, which faded as she noticed us both standing there, arms crossed. Jess? Tyler, is everything okay? No, Tyler replied simply. We walked by her into the living room, without waiting for her invitation. Melissa followed, arms folded and evidently unhappy. What is going on? You left our daughter alone yesterday, for hours. Melissa's expression did not change. She was fine. She's 8. She's not supposed to be okay on her own. That is negligence. Don't be so dramatic, she scoffed. It's not like she was locked outside. You don't get to define what's dramatic. You weren't here. Melissa appeared genuinely perplexed. What's the big deal? She was being difficult. She refused to play with the boys. She talked back to me. I thought she'd benefit from some peaceful time. You abandoned her. She had no idea when you were coming back.
She was terrified to eat anything other than what you authorized. She believed she was being punished for existing. Melissa's mouth constricted. Maybe if she wasn't so sensitive. "Stop," Tyler murmured, his voice low but dead serious. "It's over. You won't get to babysit again. Ever." Melissa blinked. "Wait, what?" "You made her feel like she was less. Not only yesterday, the entire week. The unequal treatment, icy tone, and condescending remarks. It is over now." "Are you cutting me off? Because I disciplined your brat for a few hours?" Tyler stood straight, his voice firm. "No, because you made her feel like she wasn't part of the family. And that's unforgivable." Melissa gazed at me, her eyes narrowing. "You've always wanted me out of the picture. You never liked me." "This isn't about liking you," I told you. "It is about protecting our daughter. You crossed a line, and we won't let you do it again." "Tyler," she replied, turning back to face him, "are you actually going along with this? Your sister?" Tyler did not flinch. "Chloe is my daughter, and if you can't show her the love and respect she deserves, you don't get to be near her, blood or not." For a long time, nobody moved. Melissa scoffed, turned on her heel, and said, "Unbelievable." We went without saying anything else. That night, Tyler and I sat in Chloe's room as she played with her Legos. Her head popped up abruptly. "Mommy." "Yeah, baby?" "You are not furious with me anymore, right? For being bad?" My heart broke again. "You were never bad," I replied, bringing her closer. "You got hurt, and we'll make sure that no one ever hurts you like that again." She looked at Tyler. "Even Aunt Melissa?" "Especially Aunt Melissa." He kissed her forehead. "We're your parents. We have your back. Always."
By the end of the week, the waves had spread. It was very quiet at first. Tyler's extended family texted and called Melissa, but she did not react. But the silence did not last. Word spread rapidly, twisted like a game of telephone. By Sunday, we had received messages from cousins, aunts, and even Tyler's Uncle Doug, who lived in Oregon and hadn't seen Chloe since she was a child. "I just heard what happened," he wrote in a message that was filled with courteous judgment. "Maybe an overreaction? Melissa has always been strict, although she means well." The recurring theme in most messages was that she meant well. Or worse, she was just attempting to teach Chloe some discipline. Tyler ignored the initial few. Then he began reacting. Calm, clear, firm. This was not a parental disagreement. She left an 8-year-old child home alone for hours on many days, emotionally isolating her throughout our absence. That is not strict. That is dangerous. Following that, several families backed off. A few people apologized. 1 or 2 people doubled down. But Tyler and I never wavered. The hardest aspect was not the outside noise. It was fascinating to see how Chloe processed everything. She was quieter, more cautious. She jumped when the doorbell rang, hesitated before speaking up at dinner, and flinched the first time I raised my voice, not at her, but when I spilled a glass in the kitchen. In just 3 days, she learned that love may not be unconditional. That knowledge, once acquired, is difficult to undo. So we put her in therapy. Dr. Emily Tran was a youth trauma specialist who had a calm presence, warm eyes, and the ability to get even the most guarded children to open up. Chloe clung to me during the first session, muttering her responses and fussing with the cuffs of her sleeves. But week by week, she came to trust the area. "She doesn't need to be fixed," Dr. Tran explained after one session. "She needs to feel safe again. That takes time, repetition, and plenty of reassurance." We gave her all of it. Tyler canceled his next work trip without explanation. I started picking up Chloe from school even when I had meetings, and I would take calls from the car if necessary. We added nightly check-ins, extending our nighttime routine so she could sense how present we were. Chloe slowly began to bloom anew. Melissa, meanwhile, was far from finished. One morning, a letter arrived, handwritten. The letter was neatly folded in thirds. I'm sorry you think I mistreated Chloe. I was only enforcing home rules. Children today lack a feeling of discipline. But now I understand that my methods may not have been compatible with yours. I hope you reconsider your decision, for the sake of family. This is not an apology. Not really. There was no acknowledgement of leaving Chloe alone, and no mention of the words that had devastated her self-esteem. Just a veiled warning: you're tearing the family apart. Tyler read it silently. Then he ripped it in half and tossed it in the trash. That's the last guilt trip she's ever going to send to this house. Tyler's older brother, Michael, followed up the next day. I heard from Melissa, but I'd rather hear from you. So, we told him everything. He listened, really listened. He wished he could say I was surprised, but I've seen it, the way she speaks about Chloe. I didn't know things had become so awful. He wondered if his children could still see Chloe. They were close, especially his daughter Tessa, who had attended preschool with Chloe and considered her a sister. We said yes. However, there is no mention of Melissa. No pressure. It's just a safe and fun experience. He agreed. And at that moment, we felt less alone. My dad and I had supper 2 weeks after the confrontation. Chloe sat between my parents, giggling over a bowl of pasta. She appeared lighter, freer. Later, after she went to bed, my mother approached me privately. I've never said this before, but you're doing an amazing job. I saw how she looked at you tonight, as if you were her anchor. I smiled, but something within me burst open. Because for the first time since the beginning, I believed it too. It took a month before we heard from Melissa again. This time, it was not a letter. It was an invitation, a barely veiled attempt to restore normalcy. Her twins' birthday celebration was a backyard cookout with bouncy houses and themed cupcakes, with 30 family members planned to attend. Tyler's mother extended the invitation. The invitation was delivered without warmth, but with a sense of obligation. She's trying to move forward, his mother explained, as if reconciliation were as simple as frosting a cake. Tyler looked at the message for a long time. He then handed me the phone without saying anything. I reread the text twice. It said nothing about Chloe. No apologies. There is no mention of her name. No one acknowledged what had happened. She wants to pretend it never happened, I concluded. Tyler nodded. Exactly. The question sat there, unsaid. Should we go? We did not respond right away. That night, over dinner, Chloe looked up from her mashed potatoes and inquired, "Am I ever going to see Aunt Melissa again?" My fork froze halfway into my mouth. Tyler and I exchanged glances. Why do you ask, sweetheart? I spoke as evenly as I could. Because Tessa said there was a party, she added, at Aunt Melissa's home. The party is being held for the twins. I'm uncertain whether I have permission to visit. She used the word allowed like a prisoner demanding visitation rights. You are welcome to ask anything, I assured her softly, and we'll talk through it together. I observed her face as she chewed her bottom lip. I don't want to go, she admitted finally, but I wanted to know if I had a choice. Tyler moved across the table to take her hand. You always have a choice, he explained, and thank you for telling us. Tyler made a call to Melissa the next morning. On the second ring, she responded cheerfully, as if nothing had happened. Hey, little brother, guess you heard about the party? I did, and I'm calling to tell you we won't be attending. The quiet at the other end of the line was abrupt and piercing. Oh, I see, she replied eventually. We're not ready. More importantly, Chloe isn't ready. She recalls what happened, even if you try to deny it. Melissa scoffed. You can't keep her away from her family forever. She's not the one who walked away, Tyler remarked. You did that when you treated her like she didn't belong. More silence. Then comes the dagger. She isn't actually family, Tyler. You married into her." Tyler's voice was calm, too calm. "It's fortunate that marriage means something to me. She holds a special place in my heart. She is my daughter, in every sense of the word. And if you can't respect it, you're not part of our family." He hung up before she could reply. The day of the party passed without incident. Instead of a raucous backyard cookout, we spent the afternoon creating a pillow fort in our living room. Chloe called Tessa over, and Michael promised to drop her off and pick her up later. The two girls smiled for hours, surrounded by sweets and stuffed animals, constructing a secret kingdom complete with a queen and dragon and no harsh ants. Later that night, after Tessa had gone home and Chloe had fallen asleep in her new fuzzy pajamas, Tyler and I sat on the porch. "I keep thinking," he replied softly, "about how long we let this go. The remarks, there is bias. All the signs. We didn't want to see it. Sometimes denial feels like calm until it breaks." He nodded silently for a long time. "I'm proud of her," he admitted finally. "She didn't just survive this. She spoke up. She took responsibility for her decision. She learned it from you, from us." The following week, something unexpected happened. Chloe asked to write a letter. "To Aunt Melissa," she remarked. "I want to express how I feel, but I do not want to give it to her. I just want to write it." Naturally, I agreed, and she sat at the kitchen table for over an hour, her tongue protruding in concentration as she meticulously crafted her sentences. She finished and read it out to us. "Dear Aunt Melissa, I was saddened when you mentioned I wasn't really family. It made me believe I was not good enough. But I am. I know that now. I am not furious at you. I really don't want to be among individuals that make me feel small. Love, Chloe." I cried. Tyler did too. We did not need to send the letter. The point is that she wrote it. She knew she had a voice, and we'd always listen. 6 months later, the silence in our lives felt deliberate. It wasn't silence caused by avoidance, but by clarity, the kind that comes when you've cleaned house, emotionally and physically. There were no more backhanded remarks over dinner, no more passive-aggressive birthday gifts, and no more wondering if Chloe was being silently excluded from occasions we assumed were intended for family. We'd rewritten the lines of our lives. For the first time, Chloe was able to breathe. She had developed in ways other than her height, such as her insistence on choosing her own attire, mismatched socks included. Her sense of worth had grown. She smiled more naturally, laughed without reluctance, and looked people in the eyes when she talked about her hobbies: Legos, astronomy, and piano lessons. Dr. Tran's therapy sessions continued on a weekly schedule, and one afternoon, at pickup, she took me aside. "She's starting to talk about it like it's something that happened to her, not something that defines her." That's a powerful shift. I exhaled for what seemed like the first time in days. "She said something beautiful today," the therapist explained. She stated, "I'm not a maybe anymore. I'm saying yes." That night, I held her longer than normal as she fell asleep. As Chloe recovered, so did our household routine. Tyler and I became more careful about everything: how we dealt with family, how we created room for Chloe's emotions, and, most importantly, how we supported each other. We didn't always get it correct. Sometimes we were tired. Sometimes we forget to check in. Old grievances surfaced from time to time, such as grief over the past and remorse over what we had missed. But we learned how to catch each other. We learned to pause and inquire, "Hey, are you okay?" prior to the onset of animosity. We learned to be the type of team Chloe could rely on, not just in times of crisis, but also when things were peaceful. And then, shortly before Chloe's 9th birthday, we received a call that astonished us both. It was Melissa. Tyler's phone vibrated late one evening. He paused, looked at the screen, and then responded. Not because he had to, but because we were prepared. "Hi," she said. Her voice was as hushed as I had ever heard it. "I realized I don't deserve anything, but I wanted to apologize. This is a genuine apology." Tyler did not speak right away. He listened. "I was wrong," she explained. "This is about Chloe." She talked about a variety of topics. I didn't know how much damage I was causing. I assumed I was teaching her structure, but seriously, I was making her feel like she wasn't important. She paused. Then, "I've begun seeing someone, a therapist. She is assisting me with unpacking some items that I should have addressed years ago. I'm not asking for a blank canvas. I just wanted you to know." Tyler looked at me. I nodded. "We appreciate the call," he responded. "We will need time and borders, but it's important that you said this." We closed the call with no promises, just an understanding that true transformation would require more than a single apology. When we told Chloe about the call, we were cautious, gentle. "You don't have to see her or talk to her or forgive her. You get to decide." Chloe thought for a long time. "Can I write her another letter?" "Of course." She sat down at the same kitchen table, now slightly older and taller, and began writing. Her pen moved with more confidence this time. "Dear Aunt Melissa, thank you for apologizing. I hope your therapist is as nice as mine. I am still not ready to see you, but I am delighted you're trying. Perhaps we can speak someday. Love, Chloe." She did not cry this time, and I didn't either. Not because I wasn't moved, but because this time it felt like healing rather than pain. Chloe's 9th birthday was a quiet, joyous occasion. It was a celebration of family, the genuine kind. Michael and his daughter arrived, my parents arrived, and Tyler's mother also arrived, albeit tentatively and respectfully. She had kept her distance since the incident, and while she never confessed culpability, her behavior had changed. She gave Chloe a thoughtful book about stars and inquired about school. She did not mention Melissa. She did not push. That was enough for now. At the end of the night, Chloe climbed onto the couch alongside me, her cheeks flushing with laughter. She explained, "This was the best birthday ever." I smiled. "What made it so great?" She thought for a moment. "Nobody made me feel like a maybe." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "You are never a maybe, dear. You're the most certain yes I've ever known." She smiled and leaned into my side. "I know that now. There will always be familial turmoil. There will always be some who believe that blood grants them entrance. But what I've learned, what Chloe has taught me, is that family is more than just DNA or history. It's about who shows up, those who fight for you while you are unable to fight for yourself, those who love you not only in words, but in actions. If you're a parent wondering if you should speak up, please hear me out. You're your child's first home. Make it safe. Make it solid. Make it an environment where they will never question their worth.